Hey, hey! You're out in the garage with TheEZGZ. The thunder gods are speaking to me. Yeah! I love that. I gotta say, thanks for all the great responses on this adventure. I'm really having fun here. I'm taking it to the next level. I don't feel rushed at all. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm trying to get organized and set up. I'm cleaning parts, pulling pistons, cleaning out grit and grime. These are the short 5325 rods. I had 86,000 spacers underneath the cylinders, and I'm gonna go to, if I stick with this setup, I'm gonna exchange those for 30s. That'll give me a deck height of, what was it, 54. I think it was 54 deck height. You need a minimum of 40. Okay guys, it is Tuesday. I posted up that damage report on Saturday. Mostly I've been just struggling with my own brain, but I just split the case. It's after lunch on Tuesday, and I thought, you know, I haven't got the camera out, done anything. I probably, you never know how this stuff is going to go, and I was so focused on what I was doing, but I just wanted to let you see where I'm at and explain to you what's going on in my head. So here's where we're at. I just lifted the case half off and set it on the floor. The camshaft just looks beautiful. This has probably got 5,000 miles on it. I've always been careful to use plenty of zinc. There's literally there's on the sides of the lobes and stuff. I mean, I thought that parkerization would be, I thought there'd be shiny base metal like the journals here on the tops of the lobes. We did run heavy duty springs the whole time, and those weren't heavy enough for the 1.4s, and that's where I made my mistake. And I think further than that, those single springs were older springs, and I think something I entirely forgot about, and I should mention, if you go to bigger valves than stock, you can't run the stock heater boxes. And when I did my trip a few years ago, went to Oregon, I wanted those heater boxes there because it was still cool in the mornings. And as a matter of fact, in March, I came home down the last stretch on Interstate 80, ran into a snowstorm, and the interstate highway was closed. Maybe some of you will remember those videos back then, but that was death-defying. I drove nonstop 800 miles from Boise, Idaho, down to Little America in Utah, Wyoming, wherever that is, and came across on 80 and did that in one shop. I did manage to get a little bit of sleep in one rest area, but I did that twice that year, 800 miles, and it's like, it's always on my way home, because I keep thinking, wow, you know, I did 600 miles, what's another 2? And I'm telling you, that is horrible in a little Volkswagen, but it's, you know, it is what it is. It was what I did. So the center bearing is the only thing that I'm really looking at here, and the thrust bearing back here, you can see I can't feel it with my fingers. You can see where it started to stamp in the bearing ID, but this was line board, And then I had a custom thrust cut, and the thrust bearing, which is number 1 here, there is zero play. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So essentially, these bearings fit this case. They're second over, and I don't remember, it was a custom thrust cut. The fellow that did this for me, a local guy, had a lathe, and he only cut into the thrust just enough where he could see it. Now, why we have an oil pressure problem, I don't know. I loosened up the relief valves, I looked down there, the bores were smooth, the pistons looked like they fit right, and I really didn't want to spend a lot of time on these because for this size of an engine, I really think I can get more flow out of a stock size head and ports and valves. And then I don't have to worry about running a heater box or not. Going down the interstate, 800 miles, and the heater box would be taking the exhaust from number 1 and number 3. And where did we have that oil puddle? We had it in number 1, and then we had the damage from the broken valve guide in number 3. And in reflection, I heard something, and I just chalked it off to solid rocker shafts and not having them clearance tight enough, and I did it as best I could. And the I think I was using the chrome moly. Where are they? They should be laying around here. What did I have? Well, that was for the 1.4s. I think I still had chromolys in there. These were shortened for the 1.4s. That's why those ended up in there. It's really hard to keep track of all this stuff, you guys. But I'm really happy. You know, look how nice the brass gear for my distributor drive gear. That really looks. Everything's been just wearing really, really nice. And so, what I also came up with and found, and I gotta remember, I got this whole engine together, and I didn't have this oil pickup tag down, and I had to do that through the crack, and it was like the 11th hour. Now, one thing we could check too, right now on this, is the lifter bores. Hey, let's take a look and do that old, let's see, I don't want to mix these up though. Yeah, these things are fine. Yeah, these things are gorgeous. That's the Parkerizing that came off the cam and going into the head of the lifter, and they all look the same. I'm real pleased with that. A little bit of crud there that come off the egg carton. But what you want to do, I don't want to get these, I want to keep track of them, but you're supposed to be able to, there's supposed to be a little dome on there. Any book will tell. We'll look at that again later. Hey, we can do it on this other one. Okay, so what's under door number 3? I found this perfectly good. This is the crankshaft that came out of this block, because it was a 1600 and it had a Engel W100 cam in it. And I've got a new set of standard bearings, but these main journals look good. And here's the kicker. If I took this 74 stroke crankshaft out of here, I'll have to check this all out, nail it down, but I'm pretty sure that these bearings are good enough and already cut to the case, and they're standard because that was a brand new crankshaft, and I measured this and it's 55, I think came out 54.6 or something like that. So I could take the 88 slip-in pistons, I could put this crankshaft in there, I could put the 88 slip-in pistons in there, I could put these heads, I need to do a little more work on these. These probably are the heads that were on there originally. And it seems to me the valve guides probably need to be replaced on that as well. So that would give me a 1679. Now, there's no way I'm going to reuse this FK7 camshaft on an engine that small. And I did have the compression down about 7.4, and I'm at an altitude of 5,000 feet, and Heartbreak Hill, which is neither here nor there, but just by the by, was about 7,000 feet. I took a altimeter up there with me. I think I had that in one of my videos. So the camshaft and lifters are great. I'll save those. There's just a little bit of in play, and there's just a little bit of play that way, and that's what you want. So what I found in the attic is this Scat C25. It's used. This is not the box. This is, I pulled this out of an engine. I do not remember where. But it has already been broke in, evidently, because it's been run quite a bit. You can see where all that Parkerizing and stuff came off there. But I may, in lieu of buying a stock camshaft, the C25 is 272 duration. And it says on the Scat description that it'll work for a stock single barrel carburetor. Of course, it'll work better with dual single barrel carburetors. It has a maximum RPM of 4,000, which is within the realm of where we're at with the stock one here. The lifters, they look like they might be the original Scat lifters. Come on. They look really good. It's interesting to look at the lifter wear here. You can see, I can see it, I don't know if you can see it. There are lines going up. So each revolution, each time that cam loop comes around, it's moving this just a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. And these look to be good. If you put the two faces together, let me see if I can do this with my chin. You should be able to rock them. And I do have the rock, so I can use these. And that, I can take it back to, well, oh man, I sound like a total idiot, but I'm just sort of thinking this out loud with you so you know what's taking so long and where I'm thinking. If I use this block made of 1679 with this camshaft in it, I would have a complete running 1600 engine that's capable of running a stock carburetor as well as dual carburetors. And as far as I'm concerned, that would make a nice test engine, because the original 1600 that I've been using over here, it's hurting for certain. And it's old, that needs to be gone through. And again, we've got a situation where we've got a used case. There's some issues with this one that I haven't told you about. And I probably would never want to do anything further with it than it's fine for what it is and it runs, okay? So like a backup spare to put in a car if I should need to. And you know, it smoked a little bit. I was thinking about rebuilding it and using these pistons and heads depending on how those look, but this block, even though I don't have very good oil pressure, I could make a complete 1600. Then we could go back to where we started and try to use the cadrons and the dual 40s and run a stock carburetor, and we could do runs up Heartbreak Hill, and this would make a good, what I would call it, a dirt road motor. And I don't have to spend a dime. I have everything. It cost me, you know, less than $100 for parts. I'm not gonna replace those cam bearings. And what I would do is take this 74 stroke. Now these are the 5.325. These are 75 thousandths shorter than stock. And then I would order a brand new aluminum case. And I have a set of 90.5 Moly forged A pistons. And then I could use a stock cam. I'd buy a new stock cam. I'd have to get a case, a cam. But I have enough stuff around here. I could build a brand new engine. I even used the ARP bolts. I didn't use the stock bolts that came with this. So this is deluxe, man. This is ready to go, and I have the new the flywheel for that. So it wouldn't take much to put this standard 69. There's nothing the matter with a 69 stock cam. It's good for 4,500 RPM, just like it was from the factory. So it's ready to roll. I had a let's see, Valerie's got a non-counter, let's see, no, she does it. She had a stock crankshaft. Now she's got a counterweighted crankshaft. So is anybody keeping up with me? It's no wonder it's taken me so long to get through this. I was thinking about maybe going with a heavier oil pump, going with a 30, but I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, I did have oil pressure once I revved it up. It just, once, it seems to me when I was on that trip and I got it hot. That's what happened. Because I had those heater boxes on there, I was backing up that exhaust into those cylinders. Big valve, lots of flow. It's an imbalance because you've got the other two cylinders that are hooked up to a header and don't have any resistance, and they're running cool. And then the other two, because of the heater boxes, if you use a stock valve head, you can run the heater boxes. That's what old Mean Gene used to say. And you can buy aftermarket heater boxes, high flow heater boxes, but to me they're not the heavy cast ones like the factory, and I'm not going to spend that much money. You know, I mean, there's a limit to what I can do. I'm on a budget just like everybody else. This is where I'm at today on Tuesday, and mostly what I got to do is a lot of cleaning. What I'm going to do next though is I'm going to lift this cam out and put that one in. You want to watch? I just kind of want to see where it stands as far as fit. I think it'd be interesting. And I want to continue babbling. I'm not expecting anything too dramatic. I mean, when we went to Heartbreak Hill, the bottom dropped off, but once I got above 2,500, it really picked up. But if you compare it to the comparing it to the 1776 single port, you know, I think what I'll do is just rotate the crankshaft to line up the timing marks just for giggles. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, hey, it's off! So now we can just lift our FK7. And this other one is riveted on. I want to see if how the fit of the gear is. And you know, I can put this thing right back together today with the, maybe if I really got with the program on my cleaning. But this is a 0-0 cam gear. Cam gears for me have always been a nightmare to get that. If you can use the gear that came out of the engine, if you're reusing an engine block, that's your best bet, because the factory made it in a bunch of different sizes because their tooling changed. This would be a fun little cam, and it's free basically, the way I look at it. Whoop. Come on. Okay, thrust is good. Oh, it's perfect. I suppose that wasn't even in the frame. Did I even look? Yeah. So, there's tempting. Hear it? The other thing you can do is rotate your crankshaft, and if the cam wants to lift out of the bearing, then it's probably too tight. I forced one. I bought, I did it one engine one time. One of my 1776s. This is the closest I've gotten to stock. Anyhow, I bought a brand new cam and a brand new cam gear, okay? I put it in, I had a brand new crankshaft, I bought the new kit, you know, with the crank gear and everything, and it was too tight. And it was in my aluminum case, and I think the cam was riveted on like this one. So I just put it in, and I fired it up, broke in the cam, drained the oil, and I drove around the lake. That's like 8 miles, and man, when I shut it off, it just like, I mean, it just, you'd start it, and as soon as you'd shut it off, because this was getting hot, and it was expanding, and it was putting extra friction and pressure on that thing, and I'd shut it off, and it's like, it had just quit, Look at these balancing holes here. Those guys did do a pretty good job. They didn't exactly deburr their holes, though, did they? God, you'd think after 5,000 miles, that's pretty neat. Forgot about that. So anyhow, I had the 78 stroke crank came, and I was building my 2-liter, and so I took the 69 crank, was only in there for that one trip around the lake. Maybe I did 2. I don't know, I couldn't figure out why it was so tight. I was probably considering leaving it. I would have left it together, maybe bought another case back then when I had a credit card and I was working and life was good. But, yeah, that was short-lived, and I took that cam out and built it with as a 2-liter. And I thought I had the stock cam. That's why I bought those 1.4 ratio rockers. My goal was to build a stock, you know, a 2-liter 78 by 90.5 with a stock cam and put 1.4 ratio rockers. And there was no markings on the end of the cam. See, this says C25, and That other one says FK7. The only ones that don't have marks are the, see it says FK7 Engel. The only ones that don't have marks are the stock ones. Here, now I could put this stock one in there and go back to the hill, but it's got some wear to it. I could put the 1.4s and all that on there, but you know, I kind of just don't want to do that. There's sometimes it's okay to cut corners, but then there's other times, I mean, the camshaft is the heart and soul of the character of your engine. And so many people probably, that's all they need. The cam and that, we proved by the stroke, what were we down to, 290, 270, something like that. And we brought it back up on the intakes with the 1.25s. And if you spend $150 for a set of 125s, you know, you could do the same thing. I noticed they sell them in sets individually and 4-packs, and they got all kinds of things. I haven't been building engines here for a while, and a lot changes. You got to stay on top of this stuff. So at any rate, that's where we're at. These pistons and everything, I just got those off a little bit ago. Haven't really started cleaning these up. Now these I stuffed back in there, and see how that carbon came right out of there? And all I did was just use this, God, what was this, 320 grit, 350? And it's just emery cloth. Oh, here it is, 320. It's just, yeah, I just took some 320 electro cut cloth, and I used a little bit of WD-40 and ran it back and forth, and yeah. And there's somebody out there I want to give a special thank you to. You know who you are. Thank you. Oh, keep an eye on me. And I'm trying to come up with a little package here too, and that's why I'm kind of going through all this. So the crux of it is I could have myself a nice little 1679, and then move on to something bigger. I think it would be a 1904. So, and I'd have to get a new case. So, oh man. Yeah, so there's still a lot of choices, but there's a lot of labor to do. So while I'm thinking this over, I got a lot of parts to clean and things to do here. And of course we've got I've got that 2280, which is probably a little milder than that. See? And just to aggravate everybody, well, let's see. If I was going to go with this one, I'm not going to take that. Since this riveted cam gear fits the way it does, I ain't taking that off to make it straight cut. Heck no. See, I could just put this thing back together today with this camshaft and those lifters and a set of these heads. Actually, those, yeah, I could have this thing back together by next weekend and have a video up for you guys on Saturday for your Saturday weekend popcorn video. I need a burrito. That's what I need.